gonna go ahead and talk about this little system here. So we're gonna talk about the first system more in 12Z, but first we have this little system right here that develops off Africa. And it strengthens to about tropical storm, Cat 1, low end. And it looks like it gets close to the Caribbean islands, but not exactly. And you have a high right here. That could be good for some for storm chasers. Kind of like me, but I'm house viewing the storm because it could happen at night probably. But it looks like it'll go into like the U.S. It'll make a little bit of a turn north. You see, it goes from like 19 to 20, and then to like 22 basically. And that's a sharp turn. But then it looks like it goes a little bit closer. But there's no high protecting. I mean, not protecting, but there's no high to make it hit the southeast. So it hits, and instead you have the low pressure right there, and then it just goes. So now let's go to our 12Z. So we have our Bermuda high. We have another high. So this is the first system right here. Let me go to the National Hurricane Center. This system right here, this 1011 low, is this right here. Is 20%. And that looks like it just goes to the Caribbean and northern parts of South America. And you have another 1001 low right there. That is, the 1001 is this right here, 30%. It was upgraded from a 20% chance from this morning. So it looks like it takes a little bit of a further southern track. Which it looks like it'll end up like that other storm. But then oh my gosh, there's no high right here. So it just goes north like crazy, and instead there's a low just popping up in random places on the East Coast. And then it just becomes that mess. So that's kind of that. Let's look at some wind shear. Alright, so let's see if we can spot this tropical system. Yeah, we can. Like right here. It looks like it has some wind shear, but not much around it, not like this. But then once you get a little bit closer, you have like a high bit of wind shear. And then it just completely takes over the hurricane. So it goes down to like 1008, and then it strengthened for a little bit, and then the wind shear kind of kind of weakened. Because the wind shear kind of weakened, so it kind of like allows it to go north. So, and then it gets to about 995 because there's less of it, and then it just dies out. And you need to have like a high here that's consistent, and then it'll hit this area. So, yeah, let's look at some temperatures. And then we'll look at some other models on this as well. So that's that system I was just talking about right there. So it's a little bit closer, hon. I think it's also out. Hold on, let me go back to this real fast. I keep forgetting where it is. Yeah, because you can see it's definitely stronger. But let me go to 06Z. Like on 06Z, you can barely see it, but it's definitely closer to the southeast though. So that is something we should watch. All right, now let's get the temperatures. Let's first look at the temperature anomaly. So it looks like we have some warm, and then we have a cold front. Not too impactful though. You might get a chilly day in Virginia. That's 60s. And probably that in Kentucky as well. 60s. Look at some temperatures real fast. So lower 70s. Meanwhile, south you'll have 100. So yeah. And then the cold front kind of stays there. Southeast, like very southeast, like Georgia, Florida, South Carolina's not really protected. And then you can see that little system right there that goes. And then you have a stronger cold front that comes in, and then the west is just hot. We have a cold front that'll probably get some people down to the 40s, even lower 40s. So now let's look at some precip. So you have a little low right there that tries to get going. Could be some storms for Louisiana. And some storms. So yeah. Okay, now let's look at our EPS. Can we see it good if we go out 144 though? Can't really see the system good though. I'll probably see it better if I can pull up the MSLP. Because the EPS just doesn't really show it a lot. That is also a possibility, but it's highly unlikely because like most of the models show it strengthening, so that's like very unlikely to happen. It's probably going to become at least a 995. Now let's look at other models. Let's look at the icon. So it looks like you have another rare scenario here, because these two are super close together, and it looks like that low is going up. And it'll probably combine with this one right here. It looks like it's curving up, so this one right here shouldn't really impact, but if a high right here just stays there, then it'll probably drive it more. So we just need to keep watch over that. Because I think it's out on the 06Z, but I don't know, I think it was the 00Z. Because you see like these like storms, just the 00Z doesn't even show a thing. But one of the runs I forgot, but one of them just collides, and like they just merge. The CMC doesn't really show much. It kind of breaks through, and it looks like and it'll probably hit the southeast. There won't be very strong winds, but it'll be like a weak tropical system that manages to probably get to the southeast because it doesn't show any signs of turning north. Let's look at the euro. So we do have that high right there. This is the 00Z, by the way. Then the 00Z shows those merging. Maybe it was the euro. But this turns out to see. I don't have the 12 on tropical tidbits, but I have it on the pivotal weather. So, because you can see it strengthens a little bit more, and then it like turns out. But it's also that. So it doesn't become very strong. It doesn't even get below 1,000. But you get like oh my gosh, how annoying is that? You can get like 40 knots though. Alright, let's look at some climate. Let's go to the US. So this is our 06Z. This is not the morning run. Okay, December. Because originally December was showing it to be more, but now it's getting like colder. February is still gonna be brutally cold. Latest runs didn't show it getting that bad, but it looks like it strengthens and then it weakens again. March is still gonna be cold for most everyone in the US. And April's gonna be much cold for the eastern US, and in May it just disappears except this area. The El Nino effect basically disappears. Then that's when you get below average again on the precip. But speaking on our precip, holy flooding right here. We don't see that often. That's probably gonna be major flooding for the Keys. And that's a lot of inches as well. If you look at temperature, that's January. That could be some ice or snowstorms for the southeast for y'all snow lovers like me. February, probably same thing as January. March, wetter, but still could have some snow in this region. April is basically when the El Nino effects go bye-bye. I mean, you still have a little bit. But May is really just when it disappears, so. extent, and then you'll be above average for. Let's look at the CANSIPs. This is a once a month thing right here. Shows March being really wet. January, February. Let's look at the temperatures. Still shows it being colder throughout much of the US except the West. Okay, now let's look at our spaghetti models. But please tell me the ECENS has the 12Z. Oh my gosh, it's usually here by now. So annoying whenever this happens. Because usually I don't have to wait this long to get the 12Z. So I guess we'll have to talk about it in another video, or not even talk about it because it'll be way out of range by then. Let's go to 12Z because that's what we currently have on some of these. The ECAIE just does not, just like whatever the heck happens here. This is why I think this model is just not great. It's because you just see that happening. But then it gets better though. Yeah, I have a lot of members. But all of them kind of make it out to sea though. You might get a few trying to get close to the US. Let me go ahead and take it out. I don't want to. But this is the closest one. It's not even that close. But there are also a lot of consistency. There's a few members showing it. But also like the GEFS, I'll get to it. It also shows other. It also shows that third tropical wave right there. So yeah. Let's see, you have members doing that. And those don't even make it close to the US. Those kind of make it turn out to sea. That's very unlikely, but most just keeps it like right here, just like that first system. That's not even gonna be too major. Alright, let's look at the Google DeepMind. I don't trust it. It's not the best model to use, but it'll just give more ideas on the what could happen. So we're gonna go ahead and go to 190. This just does not really do good. They have all the members stringing it to at least probably a hurricane. They turn it out to sea like all usually do. But you have one that gets really concerning close. This is what we need to pay attention to, because even though only like one member show and it's not too consistent, a lot of this has been showing that, so that's something to watch. But this is like a 2% scenario, but it is something to watch. And I don't think it could be anything. Yeah, Google DeepMind showing that. The GENC should be out by now. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna need to watch this very much, but this is another possibility. I'd give it 5%. So there's a category 2, 3 probably hitting South Carolina. But I don't buy it. Same with this. I give it 5. So yeah, because not often when you get stuff, tropical systems develop right there. That's not often when you get that. Please. I don't want to look at the 00Z because that's like a whole 12 hours. We need to get y'all the latest and newest data. We need to get y'all the newest. So I don't really know what else to look at. Let's see what else we can look at. Nothing really. I guess I'll go on with the daily forecast then. Guess we're gonna go to temperatures. So these are gonna be our highs. Pretty warm, 80s, 90s, basically everywhere. So this is pretty normal summer, early August type stuff. Might even get some 70s if you're lucky. And overnight lows will only get to 70 for most of the country. Even 80s in parts. Maybe 50s in the northern plains. But yeah, now let's check our precip. We'll have some storms in Iowa in the early morning. Well, you do have that little tropical thing right there that gets going and then it just disappears. So, let's do our thing real fast. I don't know. Okay, there we go. We have our geopotential height. Well, I don't know why I said that. I meant height. So you have like a 594 right here. And that's what's going to make it like warmer. Then you also have a little dip right there. That makes that low pressure get going. And then, yeah, you have the tropical system. And yeah, let's look at the Euro temperatures now. Let's do it on pivotal again. Well, we also gotta look at the Euro AI ensemble, AIFS. Let's look at the EPS. Okay. Alright, let's go to national. We're gonna do temperature. Alright, let's go. This is gonna be our Euro temperatures. Yeah, so it's gonna be pretty hot for the whole week, basically. Leading to about Wednesday, and then that cold front comes through a little bit. That'll bring some relief. But 90s for the south. You might even get some hundreds if you're unlucky. Yeah, hot day for the south. Basically all of the south. More hundreds. More hundreds. And more hundreds. And overnight lows only get to the 70s. I don't think anything major is going to happen in like the next 2 weeks besides the tropical systems, but anything besides that, nothing really. You might have some snow in the mountains depending on what happens though, but still, yeah, so let's do our last little check. Oh yes, the ECENS has it, but okay, so let's go over what it does first. So you still have those members right there, and it starts to get something going really early. And then a lot agree on the same track. All those curve out the C, and all these curve out the C. So I give it maybe a 5% chance that anything bad probably happens. But you're always going to have at least 1 to 3 members that show something getting near. Let's look at the 00Z. I mean, this always happens. There's always going to be some ridiculous, like, ghost storm that's always going to happen in the Gulf. You have another storm developing right there. Like, I've never seen that happen before, so I don't think it's going to happen. And then that third tropical wave. Bermuda might get lucky depending on what happens, though. But overall, let's go back to the 12Z. Just more random. This one's being a little weird. It's probably like some weird glitches, though, that happened. So this is kind of what's going to be happening. Nothing developing in the Gulf, so that's good for people. That's going to be it for today's video, and bye.